Welcome to TrailManners, the podcast so dedicated to mountain trails and running that they broadcast out of a 78 Volkswagen bus in the mountains. Who does that? Eric and Joel are your hosts and will bring you the trail life as you may have not heard it before. You hear about everything from gear reviews, nutrition to keep you upright and moving forward, and they'll even bring guests into the bus for conversations that you won't hear anywhere else. It's time for some running adventures on a higher elevation. The old 78 Volkswagen bus is fired up and headed to the mountains. Here are your hosts for TrailManners, proudly representing the 801 with their passion and love for the trails, Eric Manning and Joel Hatch.
Welcome to the TrailManners podcast, episode number 93. Today, we're going to be talking with Amy Puzey. So if this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. The TrailManners podcast is produced every week for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at trailmanners.com. Come back often, and please feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at TrailManners. All links are in the show notes. Now let's get after it. All right, welcome back to another episode of the TrailManners podcast. We are on episode 93. Still up here in Eden, Utah.
Right. Still in Studio 78.
Studio 78. It's getting a little warm, but we're gonna power through another show.
Right. I just had a popsicle, so I'm good.
Mama Puzey tried to fatten us up.
Grandma Puzey.
Yeah, Grandma Puzey tried to fatten us up, but
She did.
I passed. I've made it past the ice cream sandwiches, which is a rarity.
Right.
But we do have another guest inside the bus. We have Amy Puzey.
Yeah.
So thanks for taking the time to join us.
Well, thanks for having me on the show.
And I know you're, in the middle of a family vacation, so I know that's also a little difficult. But we just had Jacob on the show, and he was just talking some crazy stuff about how awesome Calgary is, and Canmore, and the running culture, and everything else.
And the food.
And the food, yeah.
We
keep going back to the food.
Sidetracked about the food.
Yeah. So give us a little background about yourself. You said you've been running since you were like 14. Give us a little background into how all this began for you.
Well, I grew up in Canmore in the mountains, and a lot of my friends got into cross-country skiing, but our family didn't have a ton of money, so I ran because that was cheap, and I had a pair of running shoes, and the logical place to run was in the woods at my backyard. So I ran around in the Nordic Center and just kind of fell in love with it. I had a phys ed teacher who kind of took me under her wing and took me out for a half marathon when I probably had only run 5K for the first time. Almost killed me.
Enablers.
And then I got hooked and I started running. I don't even know how I started running Five Peaks trail races, but I really enjoyed those, just being off in the mountains.
So how long have those been around?
About 18 years now.
Oh, my
wow.
goodness.
Yeah, so I took over 5 years ago, but they've been around for a long time across
Holy
Canada.
cow.
So started trail running, and then and it was mostly just to stay in shape for swim club that I did in the summer. So I just wanted to do something over the winter.
Right.
And yeah, and then you get addicted to the endorphins and the community, and yeah, I guess it kind of went from there. I ran for the University of Alberta when I was there, and then I got into the harder stuff, I guess, the 50Ks and
Right.
Trans Rockies, and yeah.
And Trans Rockies, that's where you met Jacob for the first time, right?
Yep.
Is it Trans Rockies? Was that your first time doing the Trans Rockies at that point?
No, that was my third.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So I was doing the 3-day that time and then volunteering for the next few days. But I had done the 6-day as part of a team twice before that.
Wow.
So it's one of my favorite events. I love the people that go to it and the crew. The crew really makes the race. They're incredible.
Right.
Well, it's like a 3 to 5 or what day you do. It's kind of like just I won't say party, but
It's like
I
a
mean,
rolling party.
Yeah, because you run and then you get to hang out and
Yeah.
share stories and run again, and it's like the best of all the worlds, right?
It
And
is.
It kind of rolled into one.
The running actually hurts a lot. If I could just volunteer, I think I would do that.
Just hang out.
Because the people are what I go for, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a really good group of people. And it's a lot of running at elevation, so you feel like your lungs are on fire.
Just working
the whole time.
just a little bit harder
Yeah.
than normal.
Yeah.
And that we talk about that a lot on the show, is just the community of people is such a draw for trail running, whether it's a race or your friends on a training run or anything else. And that's kind of such a huge draw for doing it as well. So what do you do? You went to the University of Calgary, you said?
Of Alberta,
Alberta,
up in
Alberta.
Edmonton. Yep.
Okay, excuse me. And what did you study when you were there?
I studied nursing.
Okay.
And my plan was to go and work over in Africa, and I ended up switching into nutrition. I got a bit disillusioned with the healthcare system and medicine and drugs and the way that disease was treated there. So I switched into more of the preventative side of nutrition and worked in that for about 8 years, and really, really loved that. So
because you did holistic nutrition.
I did.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
And is that something you still do on your own level, right? You don't teach or coach or
have clients
There
per
we
se
go.
now, right?
Correct. Yeah, I don't have time anymore to do it with 5 Peaks. But it's a passion of mine for sure, and I see a lot of chronic disease that could be alleviated and treated with nutrition, or prevented, I guess, with nutrition if people knew a little bit more about it. So it's definitely a passion. It's harder to do now with all the stuff that we have going on and 5 kids and balancing all the different schedules. But we do what we can, and try to live clean-ish.
Clean.
because we had
I think that's a good way to
we
describe
had
it.
Jacob on the show. Where does poutine rank in the holistic
know.
nutrition? Because it came up a lot.
Because that's like the last 30 minutes is all we talked about was poutine.
Yeah, and I mean, I was starving by the time
I
we
know.
were done.
He came to Canmore and fell in love with the mountains and poutine and what else did he talk about?
The Montreal meat, was it the
Yeah,
Montreal
Mon-
Yeah.
Montreal meats? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we're really going for when we come up there.
That's what we're going for. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll run while we're there, but we're going for the buffet.
Yeah,
of-
but if he tells you, he's like, listen, I've got this great idea for a new business
It came
model.
from us.
It came from
Okay.
us. Yeah. It's
and if you don't like it, it came from him.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the poutine food truck.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Take it to all your events.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just another way to make people happy.
It is.
It's rewarding. That's what it is.
Oh,
It is.
man.
Jacob's an anomaly, though. He can eat, like, I don't even know, 5,000 calories
He's
a
got
day and
that
not
big
do
furnace,
anything.
doesn't he?
Yeah, and he gets it like 6-pack. I ate a chocolate cake, and my 6-pack's a little more pronounced now. And
It's like, yeah, whatever.
yeah, that
Yeah,
doesn't
I know.
apply to the
Yeah,
rest
he
of the
is.
world.
He's a slender fella, muscular, but he's got. I mean, because
Yeah.
he was talking about weight. Well, once in a while he eat what is it, Tim Horton?
Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
Tim Horton
Yeah.
donuts.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the Tim Horton bits and
Yeah.
everything, and then the poutine. I'm like, you can't eat like
No,
me
he
and
does,
look
seriously.
like
I
that.
know.
He does. And even when he's not running, he's still somehow is just, so it's not fair.
See,
It's not fair.
and when he was on the show, I was saying how good of friends we could be, but maybe I can't be very good of friends with him because he made me feel bad.
I
It's
know.
like we'd eat the same thing, and I'd be coming out in a wheelbarrow, and he'd be like sprinting off at a 5:30 pace or something. So you took over the 5 Peaks about 5 years ago.
Yep.
Right.
How did that happen? I mean, it's been around for a long time. Were they looking to transition? I mean, how did you take over and make it what it is today?
I was doing some running camps in Maui and Canmore for Trans Rockies.
Wait,
so
you were doing camp. Where was the first place? Maui?
Maui.
Yep. Yeah, so we were putting on some camps, and
Who's
Aaron,
we?
Yeah.
Trans Rock. So Aaron owns Trans Rockies
Okay.
events, and he lives in Calgary and is a friend.
Okay.
And because I'd done Trans Rockies, I said, hey, why don't we try putting some camps on? So we were putting camps on, and I know I was in touch with Catherine, who was the national race director for 5 Peaks, and I asked her about it, and a lot of people don't have the idea that races are businesses, or I guess it's becoming that way, and we don't often want to think that way, but I think when an event is well managed and you have good volunteers and you have a really good product, and that people like to go to well organized events.
Yeah.
And it is a really cool opportunity to serve people. I find we get emails every day about how happy people are and how much trail running has changed their life. So it's
Right.
something that we take a lot of pride in. And she was just like, oh, I think I'm going to get out of it, and I might shut this down. And I was like, no, don't
Like
do
shut
that.
down the whole national series?
Yeah.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. And she was just getting, like, she had little kids, and it was really hard to do. And
Right.
and so we kind of took it from there and started talking, and it took a couple years to actually make the transition. But
Right.
it went really well. She was worried about me, I think. You're a nutritionist and you want to do what? Like, you want to manage this whole national series. And
Right.
at the time, my boss at the clinic that I worked for had offered me part of the clinic to buy in. And
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
but I couldn't. It was more of a cookie cutter nutrition type thing where
Right.
you're just like, people are just flying through your office every 15 minutes and you're not actually connecting. And
Right.
and it was a huge risk to do 5 peaks, but that's kind of the way that I do things is
That's
go big or
awesome.
go home. So
So how does that?
Obviously.
So how does that mesh? Because Jacob, he says he's type A, right? Personality.
Like he's
Yeah.
very
or
organized.
like he's not the.
or he said he was organized.
Yes,
Yeah.
busted.
What did he say? He said he had to be,
He likes
be in
to have-
control.
Yeah, all his ducks in a row.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I'd say control would be a good thing. I don't
Okay.
know what organized. though.
Okay.
You're the organized one.
Yeah.
I would say neither of us.
Well, you got to be if you got all these races.
I know, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Because how many races do you guys have?
I think we're at about 28 across Canada now. So we're coast to coast. We've gone Vancouver, and now we just opened one in Nova Scotia.
Right.
For this fall, it's called Round the Cape, and it's going to be beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
really.
you had a tough decision though, right? When you're presented with the 5 peaks,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you're presented with your nutrition side
Like
of things.
buy into a business,
Yeah,
right?
because that's a life-changing step.
Yeah.
Right.
Either one of them realistically
Mhm.
are. But it sounds like you made the choice for 5 peaks.
Yeah, the nutrition was going to be easy and cushy and a nice salary. And as a single mom with 2 kids, it was like, this is definitely the easier way to go.
Right.
But I think you have to really check in with yourself, and it wasn't going to be right for me. So I'm really glad I didn't. Obviously, I love what I do now. And,
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it was 2 or 3 years of like 10 or 12-hour days every day, like every weekend and everything of trying to learn the business and understand what to do and making huge mistakes every day and
But learning from
having
those,
people
right?
yell at you. And
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you took it on 8 years ago,
5.
5 years ago.
Yep.
So how many races have you added races since then?
We have.
Besides
We
the one-
actually. So we tried to go into Saskatchewan. The community there was pretty small, so it didn't really take, and we stopped that after a year. We get contacted every year by probably every city across Canada and small
Really?
town asking us to put races on there, and I have this favorite trail, and
Right.
we'd love to have the series come there, and
Do you have
and-
like metrics now that you go in and you look at? You're like, okay,
It doesn't fall within our
Right.
scope of
Yeah.
what we
Right.
want or can do.
it's more that if you don't have a big population center to draw on,
Right.
or if there's another grassroots event already in there, we definitely don't
Don't
go
wanna
in and
step
step
on
on
them.
anyone's toes.
Oh, that's
like
neat.
if they're established, we're not gonna
right.
go in and start anything. So it's sort of that anthropology approach. Unless you're invited in, don't go.
Yeah.
So Nova Scotia, we had this race director that has been begging to have this race here, and
Yeah.
so we set it up, and he's ambitious, and it's really exciting, and he knows
cool.
the local community, right?
Oh, that's
Right.
huge.
You want someone that's really integrated in the running community.
So the Nova Scotia race, is it on trail, bike path? What's it on?
It's on a trail.
Okay.
It's around Cape Chignecto. So there's going to be a 48-kilometer race there next year. This year is just a half marathon, 5 and a 10.
Okay.
But it's beautiful along the coast. So I'm hoping that we can make it out there this year.
Remind me, what time of year is that race again?
That's going to be October 8th.
Joe's like trying to figure out how he can get out
go.
there.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, so we're going to do Trans Selkirk, which is
Yeah.
at the end of August.
Yep.
And then we'll have to, wait a minute, isn't that during
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving for
yeah.
Canada?
We've already talked about being up there for Poontang holiday, right? Because that's what he says. It's like that's what they do for Thanksgiving. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Poutine.
Yeah.
Poutine, yeah.
Gosh. So we got to spend work remotely for 2 months.
I know.
But if you go run every day, 42K, then you can eat all the poutine you want.
Oh, that's
That's a marathon every day.
that's right. That's
We're too old for that.
yeah, but not for the food.
Yeah, well, we got the food down.
Yeah, you got to make tough decisions.
Yeah.
So do you try? Because you mentioned that. Do you try to make it to many events? I mean, being there's so many and spread out and the balance. Do you try and make it to quite a few of them?
We try to go at least once a year to each region and check in with the race director. But each of our race directors has been on for quite a while, and they really know what they're doing, and they really take pride in what they're
Right.
doing, and almost treat it like their own kind of. They really own it.
Right.
So I have a good relationship with each of them and trust them. And
Okay.
so
well,
I
you
know
have
if we
to
can't
with
make
that many
it.
events.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, especially when it's your name associated
Right.
with that race, and
Yeah.
you're not there to do all the
Yeah.
Right. With Nova Scotia being so far away from you, there's
Yeah.
you can't control all the variables. You got to trust that
Right.
person.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, so it's always that face-to-face first meeting, and we talk a lot on the phone and email all the time back and forth about strategy and what's
Mhm.
going on, and But yeah, we don't go to all the races. And we have to, even in Calgary with Kevin, we have to trust that he knows what he's doing. We don't want to make him feel like we're babysitting. And
No.
he does a great job. So
Right.
yeah, you just trust.
What's your largest race per runner, like for runner?
This year, I think we hit over 800 at the Canmore Nordic Center event.
Wow.
And that's a big draw in Calgary.
Right.
So yeah, it was everybody wants to run in the mountains. Canmore is just getting nuts. Like you can't even get into town. I think they should take the cars out of town and shut it down and make it walking only. And
I like that
That'd
idea.
be really
the
cool.
traffic's crazy there. Yeah.
Well, because Jacob was saying that's still to this day the most beautiful place he's ever run.
He tried to
Period.
get us to come do that race, the Grizzly one, the one with the 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he said something about bears and bear spray. And
Joel gets scared of bears.
I'm okay with bears. I mean, I've dealt with them in the Tetons, but not grizzlies. That's a different story.
It's a bear.
Yeah.
No. That's more than the bear. Black bear I can deal with.
It's a bear.
Grizzly bears they got longer claws.
Yeah.
They're much bigger.
And there's a lot of golf courses in Canmore, and so they just keep getting pushed up the valley.
Exactly.
Oh,
See,
wow.
they're already mad at us.
Yeah.
They don't like golf.
No. They don't like golf.
What? If they're losing out to golfers,
Yeah.
they should just go down and hang out on the greens.
Go down there and jump on them, huh?
Yeah. That'd be even better.
Bears are always a factor, but if you have the spray and it's not, you don't go near a mom with cubs, then
You're generally.
you're generally.
I mean, it's a
okay.
factor. I
But
mean,
what happens when you're going to come across that mom and startle her? Next thing you know, your head's ripped off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
spray
See?
it.
She said yeah.
She said, "Yeah, no, you
She
just
goes-
spray yourself in bear spray, and they won't eat you because it's like a bad seasoning. It's like burnt toast.
You won't be able to see burnt toast.
No one's
You
gonna
won't be
eat-
able to see where you're running.
You're not running. You're coating yourself so they won't eat you.
Just run with a friend and coat them in bacon spray.
That's what I.
Bacon spray. Is that
Drop
is
your
that,
pack,
a real
what-
thing?
is that a thing up there?
I don't know. It should be.
Oh, I was gonna say
Oh.
if it is, I'm definitely coming. I'll just buy it for it's like Banaka Blast. Spray it in your mouth.
The
or
swish
something.
and spit at the end of a race. Instead of a gel, you just spray yourself with bacon and
See,
Swish and spit
Is
at
that
the
a
end of the
Canadian
race
thing?
because that's what is,
swish and spit.
help us out with that.
Is that just drinking
that's
water?
a
and
coaching. If you can't ingest the gel, there's a whole theory about like if you can't actually swallow the gel,
you swish it around.
but you need your body. It tricks your body because it thinks that it's getting the sugar, and so it sends
Oh yeah.
energy to your muscles
Okay.
or something. But you don't actually have to deal with the gel in your stomach.
Right. So that pathway is triggered.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and then
then
it gives you this little burst for
Right.
the last
A little
5K
bit.
without. I think it's a triathlete thing. I don't know. I've heard
Oh, yeah,
coaches
those
talk
triathletes
about
are
it.
Spit.
weird.
That's my first experience.
That
with
wasn't a
one.
sexual move. Or
I wasn't going to go there.
Sorry.
I've never heard of the swish and spit though.
Huh.
Like a gel and spit.
Gel or Gatorade or any.
I've
you
just
know
done it
how
like with
people get-
water, you know,
Yeah.
it's like
But you're going to
rinsing
do it
your mouth
with
out.
the bacon spray now.
I wouldn't spit it out. Are you kidding me? I'd be like, oh, that's good.
You're over there like freaking huffing it up the nose.
Bacon spray just sounds good. Like it should be done. It should be in
done.
like your runner registration bag next to all the papers of
When you go on the ultra sign up, you're checking, do you want a T-shirt? And there's bacon spray.
Yeah, see, you come up with all kinds of neat things when you just shoot from the hip, right?
Well, I mean, okay, so now you have a couple different businesses that are coming
Yep.
from
poutine,
poutine,
Yeah.
truck,
bacon spray.
bacon spray.
Yeah, you guys are set for life up there
Yeah.
in Canmore area.
Yeah.
But is that your favorite race of your series? Is the Canmore one? Do you think?
I really like Vancouver trail running.
Do you?
The trails
Tell us
there are
about that.
beautiful. It's interesting what people consider trail. Like on the West Coast, it's these gnarly, crazy, super technical trails.
Right.
And in Ontario, it's any kind of pathway with gravel. Like it's a very different translation across the country. So
Right.
Canmore, you can get away with double track or single track at the Nordic Centre. People do really like the single track. That's definitely a favorite. They don't
Yeah.
want to be on a road.
Road.
They don't want to think about road. They want
Right.
to be away from all of that. But I think Vancouver, just because I love the ocean and the rainforest out there,
Okay.
is the best. That's my favorite.
Wow, so that's even closer. You can fly into Seattle.
Flying
Drive up
Vancouver.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, flying.
So
Vancouver.
when is that race?
So there's 5 out there as well.
Holy
so there's
cow.
Oh
there's
my
5
gosh.
in Vancouver, 5 in Edmonton, 5 in Calgary. Sorry, there's 6 in Vancouver. 5 in Toronto, and then the one in Nova Scotia. We have a series of 4 in the Montreal area
Wow.
as well in Quebec.
So
Okay.
how do you? I mean, seriously, how do you manage these? Because that's a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we've put on one race, and I have like 10 spreadsheets for a 5K,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
know, just with all the variables, because
Yeah.
that's how I am. How do you manage all this stuff? I mean, that's full time,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yep.
that's just what you do all year round. It's just like race.
Yep.
Do you have
So-
help with that?
Yeah, so the race directors really do a lot of it
Right.
in each region. It makes sense for them to plan the course and map the course and
Right.
and deal with the permits and setting up the toilets and the food, and they pull a trailer or a truck out to each race and they set it up, and it is, I mean, if you're doing 5, you kind of get the feel for things. We
Right.
change the swag item each race. So there's a lot of planning that goes into it, and by the time we hit this point in the season, it's just rolling, like
Right.
we're into that. Everything's been planned and organized, so hopefully you're just putting out little fires at this point. But
Mhm.
if you've planned properly, then you shouldn't have any major fires to put out.
It's because it'd be kind of the variables you're looking at would be like runner numbers, and you're probably fairly good at being consistent, knowing, okay, this race brings in 500, because that's a big variable
Yeah,
when you're
it
talking about toilets and shirts and swag and volunteers and your however many your permit holds. Is that kind of one of your biggest things, or
It
is
is.
weather, is permits? Are you guys like grandfathered in for years, or do you have to do those every year?
We do them every year.
Wow.
So
Oh.
that's a big process, working with parks and making sure
Yeah.
that they're happy, and often they don't want to let you know until a few months
Yeah.
before the
Oh,
event.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
well, yeah, you guys know.
Yeah, you get that email like a week before. Here's
Yeah.
your permit. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've
Exactly.
opened registration like
Yeah.
8 months before
It's closed
Right.
already, and you're
Yeah.
full.
Yeah.
that. Ordering souvenirs for people is a big one, and knowing we usually cap our events, so we know
Right.
how many are gonna show up. But yeah, getting good souvenirs. People don't want 5 T-shirts if they're going to run the whole series.
Yeah.
So
So
we always try to keep
bacon
those
spray?
fun and
Bacon spray
Ba-
from Elevation Culture.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you used them yet?
No.
So look those guys up.
Yeah, they're out of San Diego.
Okay.
They do wooden mementos,
right.
whether it's a metal made of
nice.
wood,
Yeah.
and it's all handcrafted. It's all one-off.
Okay.
It's
Right.
amazing. We had him do stuff for us. That's how we came across him, and he's a trail runner, so he
Right.
gets
Cool.
what's going on. But
We've been
it's
looking for that actually, because
And it's unique. It's not like the same stuff over
Yeah.
and over again.
Yeah.
shapes and colors, and
And it'll be
it's
unique
beautiful.
to that event.
Right.
So whatever the local flavor is of that event or
Yeah.
whatever that's known for,
Yeah.
he's going to translate that into the carving. So it's basically put through a CAD machine
Yeah.
and it's carved out, and then they color it by hand. It's
Yeah.
crazy
Wow.
the amount of time they put into this stuff.
Yeah.
It's
We
rad.
love working. So all of our medals are made by a woman in Canmore. So
Yeah.
Nice.
we try to do everything as locally as possible.
Yeah.
We can't always do that.
Yeah.
Right.
But whenever possible, I think people appreciate something that's a little more
Yeah, look them up.
authentic.
Elevation Culture.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's
Good.
art.
Yeah.
It's like a piece of art
Yeah.
too. You know, so it's like something people want to put
Yeah.
up as opposed to the same old.
Or
Right.
something they'll throw away.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Because it's good stuff. And he's, like I said, he's a trail runner, so it's kind of like that whole trail running small business
Yep.
entrepreneurship
Right.
type thing that people like to
He
do.
gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in charge of managing the race directors.
Yep.
And then the race directors are in charge of just managing the races.
They put
Right.
on the events.
They put
Yeah.
on the events, and you said most of your race directors have been there for quite some time, so they've understand the process, they understand the community,
Yep.
Right.
everything else. Do you guys get received pretty well, even though, like, say you're not in that Nova Scotia or part of it? Did
Right.
everything get received pretty well?
Yeah, people love Five Peaks. I think because
That's
it's so
cool.
approachable. Like
Right.
a lot of trail runners that are now into the longer, harder stuff. Ellie, I think Adam Campbell started with Five Peaks.
Wow.
I started running with Five Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
It's you need something safe for people to go to when they leave the road. They're really nervous. What if I fall? What if I get eaten by a bear in the trail?
What if I get lost?
What if I get lost?
Yeah.
Right.
And so to go out and do it as part of a community and do it with friends, usually somebody invites a friend to go and do it with them, and they're really nervous. But once they do it, they write us. We get emails all the time like, I am never going back to road running. And not that road running's bad,
Yeah,
but
it's
you
just different.
You love trail running.
Right.
And I think it's because people really need that connection with nature, and they're
Mhm.
not getting it anymore. Like we're so behind our screens all the time.
Right.
And these events are really are a good community. And so when you are always on a computer or always on Facebook or Instagram, or you're not actually having that face-to-face contact, I think people really crave it. And I don't think you get that at a road race, whereas trail running,
It's that relationship.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's a really great community, and we do pre-runs, and so you can go out and do these free pre-runs of the course and meet people that way, and
Oh, that's neat.
and you just get accepted into the community. So then people will often do the 5 Peaks circuit for a few years, and then they'll start trying half marathons and ultras, and then
That's
they
cool.
get into the 100 milers, and
It's
it's
just-
really
it's-
cool to see that graduation.
It's just got to be again, we've used this word before, even with Jacob, but it's just that rewarding part.
Yeah.
Right?
Because we're on a really small scale, what me and Joel do. We've done some races, and they're nowhere near what you're doing
No.
for sure. But we have a small community.
Yeah.
And so when you see years down the road, people pulling out an old shirt from your race that you had no clue they ran the race,
Right.
or friendships made, or that's how I got into trail running. That's a rewarding part. That's part, sweet.
Yeah.
We helped on some level,
Yeah.
as opposed to you didn't have enough food at the finish, or you get people
Yeah.
say, oh, I loved your race.
Didn't have enough food to finish.
Well, you probably get,
Oh, yeah, you got to always have food for the last person.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was me for so many years, right? I mean, my big thing was I didn't know watermelon had red to it at races, because I'd show up and it'd be the rinds that were left, and I'd just eat those because I didn't have enough.
Suck on those.
Yeah, I'm like, watermelon's red on it? Was that good?
Yeah.
But I'm sure you get, your fair share of people that have, I don't say complaints, but, you
Yeah,
just have,
what's the number one complaint that you get from people?
because with so many people, and you probably get one or two that squeeze by.
Honestly, I haven't had a complaint this year that I can think of. No, and
Are
that's
Canadians
not normal.
known for being nice?
No, really. Our race directors are killing it. Like
Wow.
I think they've all just really hit their stride. In the past, if somebody goes off course
Yeah.
because
Of course.
Oh,
not.
yeah.
it wasn't well marked,
Right.
that's a huge
Or-
I get
You
yelled
just
at.
got your
That's
head down,
happened.
you miss a turn,
Yeah.
right?
Or somebody didn't plan and you volunteer didn't show up to help you
Yeah.
flag, and so you're
Right.
doing it at the last minute. That was a disaster once. Definitely if you don't have food at the finish line, or you've
Right.
already packed up and the last person comes in, that's awful.
Yeah.
And
Right.
we always stay set up for the very last person and cheer the last person in.
Right.
What else would people? If the swag isn't any good, if it's some piece of crap they want to throw out, then that's not
some grief
fun.
from
Like,
that.
why bother?
Right.
Kind
Yeah.
of thing.
See, now this is what's great is you're reaching, so that means you don't get a lot of
I
complaints.
know. She's really
Because
thinking
she's
hard.
thinking hard about complaints. So.
Oh, I did though. I did the first year. I messed up everything.
Ah,
I went from being a nutritionist and having to sit like one-on-one with somebody and listen to them to
Right.
putting on events for 500 and up number of people that you want to keep them happy. So
right.
I've made lots of mistakes. I make a mistake every single day.
Yeah.
I have to say sorry a few times a day.
What was some of the things you learned right out of the gate that maybe you didn't know that were so key? Because like you said, you made this jump from working one-on-one
Mm-hmm.
to just trying to please 500 people, knowing that that's almost impossible.
Yeah.
What are some things that you picked up right away that maybe you didn't know going into it?
I think I wasn't as organized as I am now, for sure. So spreadsheets and just
Right.
having everything planned well in advance, like way, way, way in advance for people. Or what are some mistakes I made in the first year? There were a lot. I don't even know how to list all of them. Maybe trusting too much that the race directors knew exactly
Okay.
what they were doing, and being a little too hands off and not
Right.
wanting to kind of babysit too much. And I should have been a little more there,
Right.
a little more present, or kind of had my finger on the pulse a little bit more.
Is that difficult though when you have such a name for something like 5 Peaks and it's how it's known to give so much of the reins to somebody else?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to know that they're going to be okay. And you kind of have to have people that have an eye on it for you too, that are part of the community, that would tell you if something's
A little
really off, or
Right.
yeah. But I think I'm a fairly good judge of character with people, and you know that they're doing a good
She
job.
got in the
and
bus with us.
Yeah, and Jay hasn't come out to check on you, so that's
Yeah.
good. We've had people in the bus where people come and check on them.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, wait, now you're getting in a bus with two strange guys?
Right.
I'll be there in a minute.
Yeah,
you know?
That's why you
exactly.
keep the door open.
Yeah,
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 exactly.
we have to, yeah.
Yeah, that's not air conditioning.
Yeah.
That's for safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that makes sense. I mean, I think that's where I would struggle, is having such a brand that's
Yeah.
attached
A
to
big
you.
brand.
A big brand that's or province-wide.
No,
Many-
it's nationwide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, your provinces, there's 5, 6, 7, 9, something like that. But having your name attached, knowing, well, if something goes wrong,
Yeah.
that's on me.
Yeah. Right.
Or feeling that's on me. So I would struggle with that, I think, with
Yeah.
that big of a scope.
It's funny because it really is just me behind my computer every day. Like, our life, I don't know how much Jake told you. Our life is like we wake up and there are a lot of days we're in our pajamas until noon, sitting in front of our computer.
Is that a bad thing?
Well, when you don't have to go to an office and you know you're going to get into your running clothes and, you know, whether it's at 8:30 that morning or we've already gone at 6 or you go at noon. Or,
Right.
But, you know, with the kids around, we just like, we get our cup of coffee and we sit down and you just start attacking all the stuff that has to be done that day. And so it is really just me behind the scenes organizing everything. So it does fall to me if somebody's really upset. I have to, ultimately, it's my fault.
Your responsibility to take care. Now, when you're behind there with your coffees at Tim Hortons, is that the go-to?
It is Tim Hortons,
Is
yeah.
it?
Drip coffee at home.
See?
Yeah.
I'm digging this Canadian stuff. Because I brought up the Mr. Big Bar with Jacob.
I don't know what a Mr. Big Bar
Because you're a nutritionist. It's a candy bar.
Okay.
But it's I don't say only, but that's where it's from. I've been
From
to Canada. Yeah,
Okay.
The Mr.
That's
Big Bar.
Canada.
I've been to Canada. Yeah,
I've been to Canada.
I've been to Canada.
I have too.
I'm global.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been
But
to
it was a
Niagara
Mr.
Falls.
Big Bar.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with the Mr. Big Bar. So I brought it up and his face lit up. He knew it, but he eats like me, I guess. Just you can't tell. Because that's a good thing. So talk about that a little bit. You work from home, but you have children.
Yep.
You run. You race direct.
Yep.
You probably have a myriad of obviously other things. So how do you balance all of that stuff? How do you decide to get out of your pajamas at noon and things like that? How do you balance everything?
Jake's great with support. Like he really is wonderful, and we don't have pink or blue jobs in our house. We just both do everything.
Right.
And he definitely isn't the type to expect dinner on the table at 5:00. He's just as happy to grab something or to eat Ichiban if we have to. Like he's absolutely wonderful in terms of no expectations, and he understands and supports my running and my career and the kids, and he's an incredible dad. So I think supporting each other is really important that way, and I know that he's a better person when he gets a run in and vice versa, so we try to support each other that way, or we'll go together at least for a few runs a week. We try.
So how's that work? I mean, you guys got 5 kids?
Yeah, so they're not all with us all the time.
Okay. Yeah.
So we have 2 that are in Arizona full time with their mom, and then they come up for holidays and the summers with us.
Right.
And then I have twins from a previous marriage, and they're 12. One of them just moved to Victoria for
They're
a 6 month
12.
stint.
You're not that old.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. With her dad for 6 months, and she's coming back now. And then so this year we had Ashima and Jasmine home full time with us.
Okay.
And then the others are coming and going and airplanes
circulating.
and
It's got the little family, dry erase board on the side of the fridge of who's coming when, circling the days.
Or the Google spreadsheet when we email each other, like schedules. You got that email? I sent it to you. It's in the calendar.
Okay, so you both have your computer in the same office? Or do you have different offices in your home?
We often sit in the living room.
Okay.
Yeah, when the kids aren't there, and then we'll move into the office when they get home, so that they don't feel like our work is constantly in the common area of the house, and they have some space. And one of us will be in the office depending on what's going on, and the other one will be out making dinner or
so you
snacks.
Email then? It's like, hey, what's for dinner?
Yeah.
The person's in the living
Send
room.
each other a text.
Yeah.
What's for dinner?
Yeah.
Get your ass out here.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
But so how do you do the run? Like Joel mentioned, how do you do the run if you have at least the 2 at home? Do you take them in strollers or?
So Jasmine's 12, so she's out at school all day, and she's super independent. She's in dance now, going to be 4 days a week, and
holy cow!
But that's even hard to manage, right?
Yeah, the taxi service.
Yeah, exactly.
You're the Uber.
The family Uber.
Yeah. Well, carpooling with friends, and Jasmine's incredibly. She's like another parent in the house. She's really good with Ashima and really supportive. And there are times where we'll leave Ashima with her and go for a run and have an hour to ourselves, which is uncommon but really nice, because we can sit all day and not talk to each other. Like we do, but it's if we're really immersed in our work, we know to just leave each other alone to get through a big chunk of work.
Right.
And then we do have to check in and make sure that we're talking and we have good time alone together. And we also say no to a lot. Like there's a lot of social stuff all the time that you can go out and we're introverts, I think, but we, as a lot of runners are, but we love our time together. Jake and I, we don't like people. Like before I met him, I couldn't spend more than a day with somebody before I needed space and my own time. And we literally spend 23 to 24 hours a day together almost incessantly and never get sick of each other, which is, I think,
cool.
when you know you've found your person.
That's
right.
Yeah, that's rare.
Yeah.
I like that you admitted you don't like people.
Yeah.
I do, but I
but I know what you mean.
Doses,
Yeah.
I know
right?
what you mean because I have the same problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like people, but sometimes I really just want to be by myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you know that I think when, I don't know, if as an introvert you just get drained easily. Sometimes you can give and give and give and give and it just drains you and you need that recharge time alone. So I like being social and I like...
Did you find that happening in your nutrition practice where you were just kind of like giving and then...
Yeah.
Burnt?
Yeah, by the end of the day I needed like absolutely a couple hours alone.
Right.
So there were... Yeah, other than the kids, I didn't want to be needed by anyone by the end of the day because I put a lot. I'd sit with clients for a couple hours at a time. You pour yourself
into them, right?
Yeah, and you invest a lot in their healing journey. Right. So it's important that you pull back a bit and give yourself some time to recharge
and heal yourself. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take care of yourself.
And that's where running as well kind of helps. Is that whether you're running with Jacob or by yourself. I mean, it's that healing and recharge that you need.
Yeah.
So are you guys competitive when you run together? You guys, one of you take off and the other one has to chase a rabbit, or?
We did actually when we first started. We had a little chat about half stepping. He didn't know what that was, so he'd run like a couple steps ahead of me, and I'd just stop and just turn around. It's like, are we running together, or are you gonna like one up me here for the whole run?
Oh, half stepping. Okay, I got it. I got it.
Yeah. So that was.
He does have those long legs.
He does, yeah. And I think that's how he ran because I talked to his brother about it, and he's like, yeah, that's just kind of the way Jake runs. But if you're going to run with somebody, you don't run a few steps ahead.
Joel runs in front of me.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
I have to stare at his tattoo on his calf the whole thing.
All the time. I don't know.
I don't like Winnie the Pooh anymore because he's got Tigger on his calf.
Well, it took a lot of nutritional fortitude to get that on there.
Yeah, nutritional fortitude.
That's a lot of liquid courage to get that on there, right?
So you guys do enjoy a run together.
Yeah, I love running with him, and he'll always he'll push Ashima so that because he's obviously way faster than me, so it slows him down a bit, and then we're kind of at each other's pace. So unless we're doing track work, and then even then we can take her and kind of take turns on
specific training or whatever it is.
Yep.
And he talked to us about the new treadmill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell us a story about that.
That was a great story.
Yeah.
Plus on how we decided to get it. Just it's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a sweet one.
It's a really nice treadmill
that
we have in our basement for cold winters.
Right.
Our dog got pretty fat this year because we were on the treadmill a lot.
You guys have
really
bad winter.
for him.
That's when you throw the leash on the treadmill and we'll let the dog go.
Well, see, you guys
throw
need
on
the
some
scheme.
like Tom and Jerry and let the dog get
They
on
need
there.
the scheme how they're going to get a doggy treadmill.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
For next year.
Yeah. When it's minus 30 and icy outside.
Yeah.
Farley was not happy with us. He chewed all the furniture and Jake's watches.
What's Farley named after?
Farley Mowat, the author. He's a Canadian author.
Okay, I was thinking Chris Farley.
Oh,
he's Canadian, right?
Is he?
I thought he was.
He might be.
He's my favorite. So anyway,
yeah.
I don't know why not. Anybody can be if they want to be. So, your five peaks, is that something you are going to continue to do for a while now?
Nice transition.
You like that?
I did. I like that. That was a good transition.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Is this something do you have an idea of how long you want to do this, or is it just kind of year to year?
I don't have a feeling that I don't like it yet, or that it's not something I'm passionate about anymore. I think each year we improve, and so until that stops, or I'm not passionate about it anymore, I think I'll know when the time's right to hand it over to somebody, or someone will come into our lives that kind of wants it or wants to take over.
Right.
But right now we love it. We love to be able to be home together and have our daughter at home, and the way that it works, that we don't have to commute to an office. We turn the radio on in the morning and listen to the traffic issues, and and we're pretty grateful that we don't have to do that.
Yeah, right.
We can be running instead of sitting in traffic or working, and just that much more productive. That we don't have to deal with office drama as much as we love, like, it's nice to have that culture in an office, but it's nice to also just not have any
Deal with.
workplace drama that,
If you want some, just turn a TV on, right? You can find something that kind of replicates it or anything like that. But with, I guess going back real quick too to the balance thing, is there, because we have a lot of, listeners and people we've had on the show and we know a lot of people. What are some, I guess, suggestions that have worked for you and Jacob for the balance thing? I mean, is there some tidbits that you can throw out that might help people maybe struggling with the balance? Because we also run across people that there's one person that runs and the other person doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's like, because running's selfish to a degree, right?
Oh, I totally agree.
So, I mean, what are some tidbits of wisdom that you would have to kind of to describe or point people in the right direction to gain some of that balance?
I think you really have to learn to say no. Like, say no to too many social engagements or family. Like, there's family stuff going on all the time that we have to, at times, just say we can't make it, or we can come, but just for a limited time, and get the kids to bed. And I don't know what's going on. Speaking of kids.
Yeah. It's a screaming child. Was it yours?
Doesn't sound like it.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're good.
The other 12
Yeah.
or 15. I don't know how many we've got there. I think what's the best for balance? Honestly, I don't fold laundry. I shove it in a drawer. I think that's a waste of time to fold laundry.
I just folded towels yesterday.
You got to pick your battles, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, you have to. Well, I fold towels, but
Wait, you'll fold towels, but okay, they're easy.
Some stuff,
right? They're square.
Yeah. But I mean, like running clothes, like shove them in a big trunk, or none of that matters. So pick your battles with your time.
Okay.
Because I do feel like it gets to the point. I know with my twins, it got to the point where if they threw food on the floor, it would be faster to just pick it up and eat it than it was to like walk over to the garbage. Because you're
like you eating it or them?
No, me.
Okay.
That's how you
I'll eat it off the floor.
That was your dinner. It's like whatever falls is mine.
You're right.
That's how it felt anyways. Maybe I wasn't good at time management, but I think you have to say no, and that helps with the balance. And you have to, I think you're more productive too when you do get a run in and you get that done first thing in the morning, or at least like before noon, you get your run in and you just feel like you're kind of knocking things off in the day.
Right.
Or I'll get up at 5 and clear my inbox before 7 so that it's done and you've got a head start on the day.
Right.
So get to bed at a decent hour, but also downtime. Like, I need to turn my brain off. I watch TV at night or Netflix, or you need to just.
Do you have Netflix in Canada?
We do.
Nice.
It's not as good though.
What's your favorite Netflix show?
Come on.
Probably Suits.
Oh, see, I don't know. I don't watch Netflix.
Okay.
I don't know.
I haven't watched
It's a
that one
legal
yet.
Drama. It's so good.
It's a legal drama?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a
that's your
drama.
favorite.
Okay. If it was a comedy legal, maybe I can't do. I'm
can't
not a
do drama.
legal
Okay,
guy.
so what's your second one then?
What's your guilty pleasure?
Ooh, yeah.
Grey's Anatomy.
Okay.
Except I've watched them all now, so I'm waiting
Right.
for a new season.
I thought they were done.
I have
not?
no idea.
I think they're still on Netflix.
Okay.
I think I've watched a few again, but I usually fall asleep after 10 minutes.
There's
Okay.
a Netflix one I watched. I don't watch Netflix.
Okay.
I think it's because my wife has the passcode and I never remember what it is. But it's I don't remember the name of it, but it has Ashton Kutcher in it and Sam
Jake's
Elliott.
Yeah,
the
Jason-
rancher or something.
He loves it.
Oh, it's
'cause
hilarious.
Exactly like where he grew up in Oregon.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hilarious.
It's called The Rancher.
It's something
Something
like
like
that.
that.
It's
The
the
Ranch.
ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got Sam Elliott is Ashton Kutcher's
Ooh,
dad,
I like Sam
and
Elliott.
also from the '70s show, the curly head guy from the '70s show that was in it with Ashton Kutcher. He's
Oh, really?
They're brothers.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, it's a riot.
Yeah.
So that's my only Netflix thing.
Right on.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Is your wife a runner too then?
She's not.
No.
She's artsy,
Okay.
and so I am the opposite of being artsy, and she paints
Yeah.
and amazing. By
Yeah.
the way.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, not a lot of people do because she doesn't. We have them in our home, and she doesn't think they're very good because she's her own worst critic. And I've said, go to these little markets and sell them. I see stuff people selling their paintings for $300 that I think my kid could do. No
Yeah.
offense, I'm not artsy.
Yeah.
She's like, no, I'm not that good, but she's amazing.
I'm gonna have
and
to
I'm
check that
not.
out next time I'm over.
And I'm like running, and she doesn't. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting mix for sure.
Which is good as long
But
as
it works.
And that's the interesting thing about Jake and I is that because we're both runners, if one gets a run in and the other doesn't, then there can be some or
Oh.
races, right? Like we have
Oh,
to
I
who's
couldn't
racing
imagine that.
and
That
so
would be hard, huh?
I wonder if it's better to have.
Yeah, how do you guys balance that out?
we
you guys
bo- we
look
pick.
at the calendar for the year and
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I want to do this race. And
Yeah, with when Ashima is little, And when I was pregnant, I was jealous that he was still racing. I had some FOMO, and
Right.
it was hard to not be able, like I ran, but 5K every day, it wasn't anything big.
Right.
But it was hard to not be a part of that because it's a part of the community. And if you're racing at a competitive level and he's going off to race, and I do think it is a selfish thing because I mean, anything after, like, he always says we each deserve an hour of exercise a day. So I think you need to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, it is a selfish pursuit.
Right.
And it's something that's for yourself and enjoyment. And so we have to, I think if there's any tension, that's probably where it is like, okay, you're doing 3 races this year. I'm doing 3 races. And he's got to keep sponsors happy. I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So
Right.
if I don't want to race, I don't
But you
have
got to
to,
keep
but
several thousand runners.
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah,
I do.
right.
Yeah.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. So again, with the balance thing, you guys seem like you've got it pretty dialed for the most part. I don't think anybody gets 100%.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You've got it pretty dialed. Do you notice, like, the outlying things, like your kids, the
Mhm.
difference in how that affects them, like how happy everybody is now
Mhm.
that the parents are happy because they're balanced.
Yeah.
It just doesn't it just like waterfall effect to where it just kind of trickles down and everybody has this like nice kumbaya time.
I don't know that there's ever a kumbaya time in our house. It's always, there's always
got
a
coming and
million
going,
moving parts,
yeah.
and keeping kids happy and friends, and can I have this person over, and
Oh yeah.
homework and tests and buses and parent interviews, and well, you guys know how it is. I don't know how old your kids are, but so I don't know that it's ever like a calm, happy time. But I know as a family, when the kids are driving us crazy, we just get outside. Like, we just move. So
The whole unit, we're going
just
here.
get on your bike. I don't want to hear it. And we do
don't
ride
wanna
them
hear
with
it.
like ice cream at the end of the 20K bike ride or whatever.
20K bike ride.
You're gonna earn that ice
That's
cream.
right. I love it.
No, I mean, we reward ourselves after a run. Like,
How many usually?
I run to eat.
So if there's 5 people on a bike ride, you
Yeah.
say the first 4 to the ice cream truck get an ice cream. The last one, you get nothing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right?
That's ours.
And then the kids get motivated.
They do.
They
yeah.
could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd work. I'm employing that.
You're employing
Yeah,
that.
I am. I'm
Once
gonna do
they're outside, they're happy.
it. Yeah.
They like moving, and yeah, we actually don't do a lot of sugar in our house because I think it makes kids pretty moody.
Yeah.
Makes me moody.
She'll just
Yeah.
had a popsicle. Can you
I
tell?
know. I was feeling pretty good about
It was
10 minutes
gluten
ago.
free too.
Yeah, I
It
know.
was free range water.
I got the free range water. That was awesome.
Yeah. So we just, whenever we can, we try to get outside.
That's awesome. That's good for the kids though,
It
because
is.
it is. I mean, you get to a point where, with like you were saying, behind the screens, kids are behind the screens too. Whether it's a
All
TV,
the
a
time.
phone, an iPad, a
Mhm.
Nook, whatever it is.
Yep.
People still use those. But yeah, I mean, they need that because we, I speak for myself and Joel, but we grew up outside.
Yeah,
you
we
didn't
did.
have cell phones. You had
No.
a cord, and if
Mhm.
you cord didn't reach, you're sitting on the floor.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Or something else. So I think it's something more and more families need that time as opposed to the electronic
Right.
time,
Yeah. Yeah.
to communicate or do whatever.
Yeah.
See what level of Angry Birds they're on.
Yeah.
So the 5 peaks, know what's going to happen after 5 peaks. Like
Right.
at some point, whether, 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road, you might hit that point and say, I think I'm ready to move to a different chapter of
Right.
life.
And
Yep.
she's going to turn it over to us.
Yeah. We're going to move to
We're going to move
Canmore.
to Canada, dude.
Yeah.
It sounds cool.
We'll have
I mean,
we'll
it's
have
cold
the
in winter.
5 peak. We'll have one building, the 5 Peaks office, and then our poutine
Yeah.
store.
Right.
The poutine truck.
The
Yeah.
poutine truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have a drive-through for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be easy.
Yeah.
And have like bibs so you can eat and drive, and it'll
Like it.
it'll latch on with a lanyard so you can hold it right at your
like a
chest
little
level.
little pouch, like
Anything
a little
that
kangaroo pouch.
drops,
It'll
then
catch
you
it, too.
You could have one of those bibs that catches it, and you
Yeah.
just eat out of your bib.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just
Just
like a little
driving.
spoon
Yeah.
that you can do this number with.
Poutine pouch.
Yeah. the pootie pouch.
Yeah, there it is. So what's do you have other things that you're already thinking about doing? Is there something you see yourself, because you've got a great background, nutrition and the medical field that
know.
you're looking into. What's
now
kind of
event
next?
management.
Yeah, event management. What's kind of what you see as the next chapter after 5 Peaks?
I have been working on some AIDS research and nutrition-based immunity theory, and it's sort of been on a back burner for 5 years now. And I don't have a master's or PhD at all, so it was hard to get that moving. I've been working with the the Clinical Trials Network and some other researchers in Canada to get it going. And there's a protocol ready to go for a trial, but it's a whole world I'm not even familiar with. I would love to get that moving and get some studies, or have Bill Gates actually. I don't know if he listens to your show, but if he's listening,
we get
maybe.
a comment every once in a while on
Yeah.
Facebook. He friends me all the time.
So annoying.
I got time for that.
Okay.
Social. You got to say no sometimes, right?
Yeah, exactly. You do. So do you see yourself going back and getting a master's then? So that way you
I
can
don't think
maybe
so.
facilitate that? No?
I think I'd rather either hire someone or work with someone that already has done it. I don't know
Right.
that I specifically need to do it.
Okay.
I have the vision. I know that it can prove, or we can use, it's called a Boolean kinetic model, where you can prove it on a computer first and then put it into a human trial. So
Right.
there's all that kind of stuff that I need to learn about.
Okay.
It's if it proves it's a pretty significant advance in immunity in our understanding of the immune system, but we'll wait to see if that actually happens. So I would love to get to a point where I could actually do something with that.
Okay.
And yeah, that was, I guess when I was little, it was always something I wanted to do, to go and, I don't know if it was
That's
those shows
cool.
on TV, you see the little African babies that you want to save, flies
Right.
in the eyes, and you
Yeah.
know, and that was, I always wanted to adopt 10 kids. So it's
Oh.
obviously a little
For
different
somebody
now,
that doesn't like
but
people?
I like certain people.
Yeah.
I like kids. I like
All right.
dogs.
I
Yeah.
like dogs.
Kids get
They're
older.
not people.
They can be.
They can be, but
Yeah.
So is it something you still dabble with as you go, or just there's no time for it, just sits there every
Yeah,
once in a while
no time.
something comes, so it's just sitting there, so you
Yeah.
don't have
Right.
time to really throw 2 minutes at a
No.
time?
No, so I'd have to get 5 peaks to a point where I could either hand it off to someone or
Right.
pass it over, and then I could get back to it. But I'd say it's another 5 years before.
right.
And it could be that I'm young and people don't take me seriously, because the researchers I was working with were all,
Old and curmudgeon.
a little
Bill's
bit. Yeah.
buddies.
Right.
Yeah.
Bill's buddies, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'd been around for a while. They knew the system. They knew how to get the grants. And
Right.
I don't grant, right? Like,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that to learn. But it is something I think I need to do something with it before I die, or at least get someone to do something with it.
That's
So
cool.
I hope
That's really awesome.
Yeah,
one
it
day.
is.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So if you do transition 5 peaks,
Mm-hmm.
is it something that you will like mentor someone? Did the person you get it from like mentor you for a year, kind of show you the ins and outs, or they just said, "Here you go, here's my info, go get it"? Or,
Yeah,
I
good
mean,
luck swimming.
Yeah, she was great. She was really, really organized. So she helped me through, and I think we had a deal where I could call her 20 hours a month or something for the
Oh.
first little while. And I didn't actually need it for too long, and we had a different style of managing things and different ways to do things. So, yeah, it was, I think she was around for the first year or two that I could call her whenever I
Right.
needed to. And then after that, we just kind of run it the way we want to now.
20 hours a month? That seems like a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That seems like
5
a pretty
hours
good.
a week.
That's
Yeah.
a lot.
Never used it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do. So I have some business partners. Adam Campbell is one of them,
Okay.
and he's wonderful in terms of any of the legal stuff or
Mhm.
or just like strategizing. We meet at least once a year for
Right.
strat meetings, and then two of my best friends are also business partners, which is risky going into business with friends, but
Right.
it's worked out really well, and they're wonderful. They're really supportive. So,
Nice.
yeah.
So with the 5 peaks, do you have like a plan to build X amount of races a year? You have people coming to you. Is there
Mhm.
is there
Or is
like
it more just based off of availability?
Yeah, I mean,
like
are you
said,
looking
because
for
you're
growth?
after those populated areas,
Mhm.
you're going to run into that point where there's just none left, right?
Yep. A lot of the sponsors aren't interested in Canada in general because it's just such a small population. So
Right.
we've looked at expanding into the U.S., but that's a whole other ball of wax. And,
Yeah, it
and there
is.
are so many established
Right.
trail runs here
Yeah,
already.
it's
so
growing every week.
Yeah.
It's nutty.
You hear a new one.
But to get an intro type series going would be really
It would be cool.
I think. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that is there, and that's really 5 Peaks is very intro. Like, just try trail running,
Right.
and then you can go and do different ones or harder stuff. So we've looked at the States. We don't really have an expansion plan at the moment. It's just kind of running smoothly, and
Right.
you kind of want to keep that. You want to make sure that if you're going to grow, that it's going to be done well,
Yeah.
and that you're going to maintain that quality and not just grow, and then everybody hates your series because it loses its heart, sort of.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Good
as long
point.
as we can maintain that balance, I think we'd open a few more races. But it really is the race director that brings the community together, and they're the face of the event, and they're really active on social media, and people can go to them and ask questions, and
That's great.
and they rally the community around them. So
Okay.
I think you find the right person, and then you can open a new region, but
Right.
it has to be driven by the community wanting it, and then having a really good race director
Right.
in that area too.
So
Yeah.
has it ever come up in your thought process of when you did hand it over, how difficult that would be? Because me and Joel have talked about it. Joel owns a gym.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
we've said, maybe you should, sell your gym. He's like, I don't think I could ever do that if they kept the name because that's
Yeah.
me. That's
Yeah.
what
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
who I am.
I can't
Is
do
it-
It's
that.
your baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, we've had other discussions with people about owning something and selling it or just being done with it. Is that something that would ever concern you, knowing how much you've put into it, having it in someone else's hands, seeing what might happen after that? Losing its
Oddly
soul.
not. No.
Yeah.
I think if
Till now.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks,
She's
guys.
like, wait a minute.
We had someone ask if they could take over Ontario last year, and we spent quite a bit of time looking at that and trying to see if it was the right fit there. And it didn't end up working out. She's kind of on hold a bit, so we'll see if that ever goes anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And she has young kids, and I think realized the time that went into it,
Right.
and maybe wasn't quite ready to make that jump. And that was just for the Ontario region. So
Right.
I think if it was still, someone was taking a portion, that would be hard to do. But if somebody was just going to take over, and I think I just say, well, good luck. And if you're going to run it into the ground,
I'll give you 5 hours a month and 2
Yeah.
spreadsheets.
pretty much. Yeah. No, I'd want to see. I think as long as people are still they're still getting out and running trails and connecting with the community, I think that's the best part of Five Peaks is the community around
Right.
it, and the friends that you make on the trails. And you guys know, like, you running with somebody, you can sort through a lot of life's problems out there.
Yeah. Or give people more life problems, by
That
telling them
too.
yours.
Yeah.
Or make
hand 'em over.
or make their life feel so much better when they hear yours. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God, that guy is a wreck.
Yeah.
Because it's happened here in the States where races will sell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it what you said earlier, it loses its heart,
Yeah.
loses
It
its
does.
soul.
Yep.
So it's like, oh, this race is awesome, and then changes ownership,
Mhm.
Right.
and then you're like, wait a minute, this is more about making money now than
Yeah.
it is about the experience.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's unfortunate, but you see that more and more because
Right.
there were some really iconic races. Race directors get older, they want to get out of it,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. And I think that to me is a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Because you do have the relationships not only with the community but with permits.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I'm not going to give you. I don't know you don't get a permit this year.
Yeah.
Right.
Type thing.
Yeah.
So we can see that where we're at being a problem, but where you're so established with your name, Five Peaks. That's, been around for so long. Everybody
Mhm.
knows. Anybody that runs know what Five Peaks.
Right.
In Canada for sure.
And parks don't always. I don't know that parks anywhere really want people. Like, it's starting to change, but when we were in Revelstoke, the national park there, we had a trail race that was the first trail race in Canada, in a national park, because they
Oh, yeah.
don't. So many people see parks as just an area for, like, they don't want anyone else to go there, and it's sort of an old boys club, and they don't want more people coming. And the director of the park there actually saw it as a good opportunity. Like, okay, we don't just want hikers, and
Right.
we want trail runners to come and use this. And so we opened this race there, and people go to Revelstoke to run now, and it's a trail running
Cool.
mecca because
That's
they've
awesome.
gone and they've experienced the trails, and they maybe wouldn't have. I can't tell you the number of times I've driven from Calgary to Vancouver and never even stopped, and it's this absolutely beautiful area, inland rainforest and beautiful mountains and a cool community. And so I think sometimes when a race goes in, you can really open up an area to sort of ecotourism type stuff. But parks don't always see that. Parks are pretty protective of their
They are.
trails, and
Yeah.
the race we just put on before we came down here, we have a cap of 150 people, so
Wow.
it sells out in a couple days all the time. And parks, they have no reason to let more people come into the park. It's just going to trash the trails, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Trail running doesn't. Mountain
Right.
bikers often.
But it's that balance they're trying to find.
Well, and it's
Yeah.
the
Right.
perception.
Yeah.
They don't know because they've
Right.
never done it before, and just
Yeah.
the idea, 150 more people, that's a lot.
Yeah.
and they're the ones that maintain the trails.
Right.
And a lot of time they don't have the funds to repair them because they're funded. Because we have a good friend of ours, Jim Skaggs. He has his first Harriman State Park in Idaho. It's a first trail race in the state park, and they contacted him and say, man, we'd love to get people exposed to where we're at.
Yeah.
I've driven by that state park, the entrance.
Yep.
50 plus times. Never knew it was in there. And I went on a training run. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But I've driven by it so many times.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
but it was just a great idea for them to get more people exposing their area.
Yeah.
Right. And that makes perfect sense what you're saying. National parks, I think it'd just be like when Jacob told us about the national park, I'm like, wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. That never happened in the States.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. Because we have some like a Zion race, a Bryce, but they don't go in the parks.
Right. They're
It's
on the
just
outskirts.
right on the rims or
Yeah.
the edges of them,
Right.
so to say. So
But you want people using the trails.
Yeah.
and
You do.
You can do stuff. I mean, we've been 100% cup free now for 3 years. We don't have cups in the start finish area. We don't have them on the course because I just got sick of garbage.
Garbage.
And it's ridiculous. Like, who doesn't have a bottle? So
Right.
there's stuff you can do like that'll make
Is that
parks
what
happy.
it says on the website?
who doesn't have
Who
a
doesn't have a
bottle?
bottle?
It's ridiculous. Who doesn't have a bottle?
That's on the back of the shirt.
Yeah.
We did actually. There's a complaint. We did have some people when we went cup free. They were furious, like just changing people's mindset.
Right.
And you think, like, really, you've got a backpack, so it's a matter of
Yeah,
stopping.
you got 50 pounds in your vest on this 5K.
Exactly.
You're fine. I made that suggestion to Wasatch, and oh my gosh, I got so much blowback on that.
To go cup free.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I just don't understand. I mean, I was in Ottawa at the Ottawa Marathon, and I went through one of the aid stations, and you couldn't see the road.
Yeah.
There were sponges and cups. I think they used 600,000 cups at that race. And no one, like, that's just irresponsible. Like,
It
you
is.
can't consume that much.
I know, it's nuts.
Well, my first experience, I don't come from a running background at all. I've never ran a road race, but I volunteered at a local marathon at an aid station, and I was handing water out, cups of water. And I couldn't, and we had 2 garbage cans at the end of the chute, so to say. My first experience was like kind of nasty.
Yeah.
Because people would not even try for a garbage can.
Yeah.
They'd
Just
drop
throw
it,
on the ground.
carry it 500 yards down the road,
Yeah.
throw it on the ground. And I kept thinking to myself, because I come from the running world, from the
Yeah.
trail side, and I keep going, what is wrong with these people?
I know.
And they don't say thank you.
Yeah.
It just blew me away. There were so many cups on the ground. I'm like,
I
can't we
know.
just reuse these? And like, no, they're gross. I'm like, they don't know they're gross. you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed the cupless races. It's starting to catch on, especially we have some good friends that
That
you
do
know that do it.
Scout Mountain Ultra.
More and more starting to do
Yeah.
it. But it's just bucking that persona of, oh, there's going to be cups there.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, but you really don't need
No.
cups.
Well, you think about somebody like, I was at a race director summit, and I think the New York City Marathon director was there. And so somebody asked, how did you guys go cupless? Like, how did you just implement this change? And I said, well, because it's just me. Like, hey, want to go cup free? Yep, I do.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have to
Conversation
ask
over.
permission.
Right.
Yeah,
you don't have to go
there's
through the
no-
board of directors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I really hope that big road races go cup free too.
That'd be
'cause
something else, huh?
It's consumption that we can't afford these
Right.
days.
I mean, there's really no need
Well,
for it.
and you think about, like, seriously, think about the lifespan of that cup for that. It's
Yeah.
filled a quarter of the way, and
Yeah.
it's done.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Forever.
And every runner uses what, like two
Two.
per aid station.
Right.
So
Nuts.
Yeah, it's ugly to see, especially when they have them on TV and you're watching
Yeah.
one and you can
Oh
kind of see
my
the aerial
gosh.
view, and it's
Yeah.
like asphalt, and then it's like this white area.
Blanket.
It's
And
like, yeah, those are cups.
and
Yeah.
I mean, is it really that hard to fill your water bottle?
Right. And we're teaching them that it's okay to be disposable like that and throw it on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when they
Yeah.
do make that transition to the trail world,
yeah, you've
Yeah.
they
seen
think
that.
it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
We disqualify anyone who litters
Yeah.
if they litter, like obviously
Like
if it's
purposely
an
litter.
accident. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
if they purposely throw it on the ground,
Right.
and I don't know that we've ever seen it, but I think you'd see a trail runner behind probably pick it up for them and just carry it.
Yeah,
just,
you would,
just not
for
say
sure.
anything and
Yeah.
just carry it through, because we have that on our registration. It's like if you litter, you're
Yeah.
DQ'd and you
Yeah.
won't be invited back ever
Yeah,
again.
Exactly.
But it's also hard to see when you've got a race that's out somewhere to ever see
It's
anybody
remote.
do it.
Right, exactly.
But it's at least it's planning that in their head that
Yep.
that's I shouldn't
not acceptable.
litter.
You're right.
That's
Yep.
bad. Are
Right.
you kidding me? Yeah.
Can't litter and you can't yell at my volunteers or you
Yeah.
get disqualified.
Exactly.
Oh,
You're
that's
out.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Volunteers are the saints of the world,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
We just had a guy at Powderface. He was making espresso shots for every single person that came through.
What race is this? Don't tell me it's one we want to go to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. we just put it on Powderface. So he was just of his own volition out at Aid Station 3, brought espresso.
Tim Hortons.
No, I don't know what he was. He had some little pump that he was doing, and he had rollers for people's calves, and just wanted to make their life
pedicure.
Yeah, no, right?
Yeah, he was awesome.
Oh my
He gets the Volunteer of the Year award this year
For sure.
Yeah.
He gets ours.
Yeah.
And we weren't even there.
I know.
You guys got to come up for that one too.
I know, right?
June
We're going to get dual
30th next
citizenship.
year.
I did. Obviously, we need to.
Get on the payroll and they want ideas.
Yeah.
They want ideas.
No, I think it's great what you have going up there for many reasons. One, like you said, it's that intro to trail running, which is so needed even in the States.
I think so.
Because there's a lot of, 25K and ups trail runs, but below that, it's very few, and it's not like trail. It's the gravel or the
bike path.
Yeah, and people want to get out there. So
Yeah.
I think that's huge, but just your background and your passion for what you're doing and
Right.
why you're doing it, I think is huge.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it would be nice if you guys were down here or we came up there because it'd be fun to take part in such a great series.
We'll be up there next year, I think.
We've
got to
got
make that work.
We got to figure that out
Come up
for
to
sure.
Trent Selkirk's. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, we're gonna do that for sure.
Yeah,
But
just
now,
like for sure. I'm like, I'm gonna have to sell my bus.
Bring the bus.
Yeah, okay.
You can sleep in the
we'll have
bus.
to
leave
leave
next
right
week.
now
Yeah.
to get there next year.
I don't have time to pack.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's really neat to see what you have going on. Just because one of the things that's difficult with our podcast is we get to sit here with you, and so what you're saying, we get to see the look on your face.
Right. We get
And-
all those subtle cues.
Yeah,
Right.
and sometimes that comes through in your voice
Yeah.
when people are listening. But for us, we can see how much you enjoy it,
Right.
how much you love it, and how much it's something you probably won't be stopping for quite some
Yeah.
time, really.
Right, exactly.
Because the smile's ear to ear
Yeah.
every
Mhm.
time you talk about it, and that's the best when you talk to somebody who's so passionate about what they do,
Right.
and in return does so much for so many other people at the same time.
Right.
Right. So hats off to you
Yep.
and to all your RDs, because that's not easy
No.
at all. Like I can't imagine doing
Running
that.
a national series.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're on the front lines. They're the ones that really make the magic happen on the day. So
Right.
I'm really lucky to have such a good team.
Yeah, and that makes a difference.
Yeah.
For going for the same thing. It's that trail community
Mhm.
again that definitely helps play into it. So,
Right.
so yeah, thanks for coming
you.
on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
It's been
our
fun to talk to
pleasure. Good luck with
Thank
the
you.
series.
Yeah.
Good luck with after the series. That'd be super cool to keep with your research
Right.
of what you're doing. Again, rewarding and helping others. So. Here comes. He's checking in on you.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we're all good.
We're good.
We're good. We're just sharing poutine recipes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, taking the time on your vacation, and man, we nothing but the best of luck
Yeah.
with
Thank
your
you.
series. And honestly, me and Joel hope we can make it up there because
For sure.
that'd be awesome.
We'd love to have you up.
Yeah,
That'd be
that
fun.
would
And
be
bring
awesome.
the kids and
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
there's pools and the mountain coaster and
I know.
yeah,
I'm looking forward to the
they're
mountain
You get that
coaster.
espresso shot guy there? Might
We
be
had
sold.
chocolate covered bacon there at
That's
Trail
what he was
Association
telling
years
us.
ago.
What is
Yeah,
wrong?
bacon spray is one thing.
Yeah,
and
but
But to chew it up and just stick it between your cheek and gum and
Yeah.
then suck on it for
Go.
like a 5K,
for a 5K.
I'm in. So
you guys.
yeah, get back to your family vacation.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking the time,
We
and
appreciate
we'll
it.
have some links to their sites here in the show notes for 5 Peaks, so you can check that out.
Right.
Whether you're from Canada or not, get out there and support these guys and everything they're doing.
Right.
It's a great thing. So hopefully we'll see you soon, and enjoy the rest of your vacation. Thank you for listening to the TrailManners podcast. We'd like to thank Amy Puzey for taking the time to join us today about all the cool things that they've got going on with the 5 Peaks Trail Running Series there in Canada. We also want to encourage everybody to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at TrailManners, or you can swing by our website at trailmanners.com, where you can check out our store page, grab yourself some Schwagenites, or hit us up on the contact page. Let us know what you want to see, who you want to hear, or if you would like to be on the show. Until next time, this is Eric Manning with Joel Hatch reminding you, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. Now go get it.